disaster, we have said that we all the time, we are working towards ending load shedding tomorrow or this afternoon. But our immediate concern now is that we must stabilize load schedule, stages. At least they must go to, we hope to sustain them at a low level. Yesterday, if I slept, it was 3. I checked today, yes, it's about 3. The immediate thing is to reduce them to a low level as we organize all means of opening energy into the grid. We've already said those who attended the president briefing, Mr. Roditics would have presented what he calls a roadmap to end load shedding. There's a possibility of ending it in a year if certain things do happen. So in other words, we are careful of saying on this date, but we are confident, not too long, we'll deal with the load shedding. If people read and followed what the president said in his speech, the president would have said, electricity finds itself reporting to so many institutions, both technically and politically. And there are decisions that technical people want to take. A number of times amongst technical people, it's usually easy to find one another. But you find that a lot of the decisions they want to execute, they need a political consent. And you find that there are more political consent. Others are procedures as required by Treasury, although Treasury has gone a long way now to actually unlock that. So what the president says is that what has been exposed in terms of the institutional and structural interfaces that intervention in electricity sort of involves, the president says then it calls for restructuring, for reconfiguring. But what the president says, the electricity crisis can't wait for that. In the meantime, something has to be done in a manner that is adaptive and dealing with the weaknesses of the moment. The president has said, I will appoint a minister of electricity who will afford and close the gap of the political part of that intervention. And that minister will be empowered to take decisions on any matter that calls for response to electricity crisis. In other words, you would have improved the intervening capabilities until whatever later stage the restructuring is done. But load shedding calls for intervention, it calls for execution, that something has to be done. It can't wait for that. And we've said that several times. And I was happy, Paul, to discover that. They say between 1977 and 1945, New Zealand had no less than 11 ministers of electricity. Minister Mandashi would have actually told us about Egypt, and I'm forgetting the other country and so on. But here, the Minister Mandashi has also explained that there's a need for special intervention on this matter. When is that going to be happened? It's the president who takes that decision.